What would you say to a builder that's like, okay, cool, I need to do this kind of thing, I just don't have the time right now?
I'll just call bullshit on that straight away.
Yeah.
This is a game changer. This is on par with, if not more powerful than, a builder charging for quotes and then outsourcing the estimating to an estimator.
Welcome to the Builder and Marketing Podcast, a show about how to best position your building business in your marketplace. In this episode, we talk with Kurt Hegertweiler from the Builders Coach to hear his proven strategies on how to qualify leads, say no to bad fits, and essentially choose which clients you, as the builder, want to say yes to working with.
We both work with a lot of builders, and something that always comes up is client selection and deselection, and avoiding working with clients that are not like an ideal fit.
Yeah.
What do you normally tell your clients? How do you set this whole thing up?
Client selection is crucial, absolutely crucial, because client selection, there's job selection and then there's your client as well. So the type of client you work with, most builders, you don't have to go too far down the path of a conversation with a toxic client and the negative impact that can have on a business, right?
Yeah.
So working with the right type of client, so there's obviously the right area, but personality type, their financial situation. We were talking before about banks, ideally clients that don't need to go to the bank, but then right down to the client personality, especially where you're dealing with high-end, luxury type homes, the client personality starts to matter big time.
Yeah. So what are some things you can put in place? Because you always talk about systems and so on. What can you put in place earlier on in the process of?
Yeah, so always looking for a process solution, right? So what's the process solution for ideal client selection? So step one is, knowing what does your ideal client look like, right?
Yeah.
So there's your niche, your area of specialty, and then within that, what does your ideal AAA grade blue chip client look like? And then having processes for quickly identifying someone that doesn't fit the profile, and then politely but quickly ejecting them out of the process, which is referring them on.
How do you do that? Because I mean, a lot of builders they want to help people naturally. We always talk about this, especially a lot of our clients. So how do you gracefully send someone away?
So yeah, that's a good question, because it's counterintuitive, right? People want to help. Most good people want to help. They know they're good at what they do, so they can offer a great solution. So it's counterintuitive to say no to someone. And often the client that gets ejected is not necessarily a toxic person. You might be thinking of someone who's nasty and it's easy to want to eject them. It could be a lovely person, but there's some other factor, like their finance isn't great, or there's some other thing, like they're too far away, or the type of job could impact it as well, and then you've got to eject them for that reason. So the quick and easy way to do it is through a questionnaire. Now you guys have got a fantastic questionnaire that you get your clients to use online. That is a quick client selection solution right there, because one of the worst clients you can get is a tire kicker, right? Someone who's already got a builder, they're not going to tell you, they just want to get you there to price check. Sending them a questionnaire is like your mother telling you to do your homework, or your teacher telling you to write an essay when you're at school, right? It's the last thing you felt like doing. So that'll send most of them away. Although you do get some that'll still try and get you to site. If you're a really good builder, great reputation, award-winning, some people will spend the time and even money, they'll pay for a quote because they know it's going to be a good check. But I mean, if that's the worst you can do, you're still getting paid for the quote. Yeah. So questionnaire is step one.
And you call that, sorry, just on the tire kicker thing, you call that a tire kicker repellent. You've mentioned that before.
Well, the sales process, we go through all the steps, which we spoke about earlier, right? If you take someone through all those steps, it's repulsive to a tire kicker. They're repulsed by it. And on the flip side, it's the best possible first impression for your AAA grade blue chip client, right? So the questionnaire is step one, but like Dale mentioned before, it's a game changer. It's a complete game changer.
Yeah, to build some context, Kurt and I we're hosting a workshop at the moment for builders. We're at lunchtime. This is the only time we can film this podcast. We're like, let's do this. We'll eat lunch later, it doesn't matter. And yeah, we've had a few clients, mutual clients, that they use questionnaires and they say it's a game changer.
Absolutely. So just doing that, and it's quick and easy. Like I'm happy to share a questionnaire. I'm sure you will with anyone listening. and they can take it and use it straight away. This afternoon, inquiry comes in and go, hey, in order for us, there is a script that we get people to use. This is important, just explaining why you're sending them a questionnaire, right? And the reason is, in order for us to help you best, we need as much information as possible. So I'm going to send you a questionnaire. If you can complete it as best you can, just put in as much as you can. Once I receive it, I'll review that information, absorb it all, and then I'll call you back and we can have a meaningful conversation about your project.
Yeah, and that does so many things. I mean, we can talk about that deep on another day. So that's number one's questionnaire. What else?
So sales process as a whole, but the questionnaire, like we just spoke about, is huge now in this market when it's busy. And in any market, we get lots of inquiry, right? It's going to save you time. Most people are time poor. So it's, for that reason alone, is one of the most powerful things you can do, and it's quick to implement. The second is managing client expectations, which is huge because it's embarrassing, but the standards are really low in this industry in terms of client communication and also educating clients on what's involved in a build process. Most builders, in their defense, they're so busy, like who's got time to sit down and explain all the complexities of doing a build to a client? Fortunately though, we live in an age where you can do that quickly and well through like video content, there's PDF documents.
Yeah, you can do the work once and it keeps reward.
Use it 1,000 times, thousands of times, So an educated client is a better behaved client. So I always maintain your sales and marketing systems really should be education based. So you should be educating your client on what's involved in doing a renovation, an extension, building a deck, building a new home, whatever it is. Help them understand the complexity because perception's reality, right? Most people's perception of what's involved in building is that it's easy. It's not. There's also not just one way to do it. So it's incumbent upon the builder to help the client understand what's involved.
Yeah, and I think a lot of builders just assume that the clients, they just know what's going to happen. Yeah. They just know the whole
There's a lot of assuming happening on both sides, right? So what we've found is that if you sit a client down, once they've gone through the sales process, and now it's contract signing. So they've agreed, they like what they see, and they've selected the builder. At contract signing, you're going to use, we recommend using an association contract, like an MBA, HA. They're the most tested. So you don't want to use the contract that isn't tested. Don't go create your own. Use the one that's been tested tens of thousands of times. And it's very fair, and it's good for the client and the builder. But most people, as you know, when it comes to contracts, they're not going to read the whole contract. All right, it's like the terms and conditions. We all just tick yes these days, right? You don't read through 147 pages, especially when it's written in Greek. Like it's written in legal jargon, and that's a profession where they intentionally complicate for profit, like IT and IT, legal, accounting. They like to keep us stupid, if you like, and for them to seem like the intelligent solutions that we keep having to pay them money. Being a bit facetious there, but with the legal stuff, if you can extract out of the contract, and this is what this client commencement agreement does, it's a simple 2-page document that extracts the most important and relevant parts of that building contract that the builder knows is going to come up during the build with that client. And then the builder sits down and goes through that with the client. So if you're the client, I go through and explain that you, Mr. Client, are part of the team. We wanted to build this amazing forever home for you, and we will, and it's going to be award winning, and we're going to build it like it's our own, it's my own house. However, in order for us to make true on those promises, we need you to meet us halfway on certain things, like payments on time, access to site. You can't just turn up any time. Don't phone us after hours, after 5 o'clock, weekdays, weekends, don't call. We need to rest so we can get to your site wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. There's a selections process, so we need your selections in before we turn the soil. If you make changes after the fact, that's okay, but there's a variations process. There's a $250 admin fee, and then there's going to be a rate for myself and the supervisor to get down to discuss the variation, even if it doesn't proceed. It goes on and on, defects, handover.
How long have your clients been using that?
Years.
Because you've been coaching. How long have you been coaching?
We had a 1-day training workshop like this, Corne. 2. We had one in Sydney, one in Brisbane, just going through that document.
Wow.
So from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m., just going through that document.
So it's something crucial. It's not just...
That's how important. I don't use the term game changer lightly. There's only 4 that we have, right? and I went through them earlier. So, charging for quotes, this, and we can do a separate shoot on the other ones.
We'll keep it.
Yeah.
For later.
We'll keep it. There's a couple I want to keep under wraps because one's hot off the press.
Yeah.
So, but the respect, okay, that the builder gets from going through that client commencement agreement, which is just talking about in layman terms what's in the contract, is huge. It's a bit like you playing sports. You're going to go play sport, and then you get called for offside. You could be playing, any footy, rugby, say, and then you get blown up for an infringement. You go, what's that for? And then the ref goes, it's the new law on page 147 of the rule book. And you're like, asshole, no one told me. You could have just told me that there was this new rule or whatever it is, right? Yeah. You knew it was going to come up during the game, and no one bothered to explain it to you. And they know you're not going to read it. They know you're not going to read every page of the contract. And even if you did, for some reason, decide to read through 147 pages, you're not going to remember it all. So as a common courtesy, they could have said, hey, just so you know, you can't do this thing or that thing. Because a lot of it's just blah, blah. Yeah.
How can we expect the client to not call you after hours if they don't know?
Exactly.
Or if it's on page 146?
Exactly. And what happens is most builders then get pissed off because 7 o'clock on a Sunday, the client calls. For them, that's the best time to call because they've got they're a corporate exec, they've got a busy job. When else are they going to call except after hours? They're not thinking that that's a bad time for you. And it is. Yeah. And then the builder gets resentful, doesn't say anything, but the client picks up this bad vibe and they think it's something else, and then assumption, things escalate, and the relationship breaks down, and it's uncomfortable for everyone.
What would you say to a builder that's like, okay, cool, I need to do this kind of thing, I just don't have the time right now? You don't have the time. So like a couple of hours, I'll just call bullshit on that straight away. Yeah. This is something that it's a game changer. This is on par with, if not more powerful than, a builder charging for quotes and then outsourcing the estimating to an estimator. What's that going to free up in a year? Hundreds of hours. Yeah. Right? So this does the same thing. So if you can't take 2 hours to go through a document, which I'll freely share with anyone who's interested, and then I'll just call bullshit. It's not true. Yeah. You just don't care enough, or you're not a builder. Again, it's like setting it up once, and it keeps paying for itself.
All you got to do is at your next contract signing is take the time to go through it. Yeah. And every builder listening is going to know what I'm talking about. They're going to know they know it's there because they build. They also know their clients don't know about these things, but they do come up. So all you're doing is you essentially having those uncomfortable conversations up front. Yeah. And then you get respect because the client knows, like, wow, this guy's telling me don't call me after hours. You can't just turn up to site whenever you want. He's telling me my payments need to be on time because if the cash flow, the money doesn't come in, you can't pay people and keep the job flowing, that could result in big delays and cost blowouts to the client. So they respect and appreciate it. There's one story in particular where the builder went through, it took 3 hours to go through everything. And the client, it was a couple, they sat back and they said, we spent $4,000 with a lawyer to go through this contract. And what you've just explained to us is 10 times better than what he did. And you're the builder.
That's interesting, yeah. Okay, so if a builder's listening to this, they don't have a client commencement agreement, where can they get it?
Shoot me an email, info@builderscoach, builder with an S, builderscoach.com.au. Okay. I'll shoot it back to them.
Yeah, no awesome. Problem. And also, like your book, you've got a book.
Yes.
I've had so many of my clients, like obviously I've given them your books. They've stumbled upon it. Yeah. It is a game changer for a lot of clients. I mean, you've spelled out everything in there. It's a great...
I've given away the farm, so everything I've learned over the past 17 years, well, the book came out in 2018, so up to that point is in the book. There's about 40 documents, checklists, templates, videos, and I'm happy to send a free copy to anyone who wants one. They can just email info@builderscoach.com.au. Just put book in the title, name, physical address. I'll send a paperback copy, but it is available on Amazon as well. Yeah. And Audible. Audible, and the guys in the room today were saying, one guy in particular came up to me and said he's listened to the book multiple times and enjoys the fact that it's on Audible. So, for $30,
Awesome. Thanks, Kurt, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening or watching this podcast.
If you're not already subscribed, visit bizvideo.com.au/podcast, where you can enter your email and then we will send you each new episode.